You guys all are in for a treat to learn from someone who has not only set the bar, but continue to raise the bar of what is possible in life insurance sales. Hello, everybody. Grady Paulson here, Family First Life America. Beyond excited to have the #1 all-time producer for Family First Life on with us. And he's not just #1 this past year or the year before or the year before or the year before. He's #1 all time, meaning no singular agent has produced more life insurance premium, has protected more families, has put more life insurance coverage in place, and has earned more for his own family than Steven Giordano. He is be cautious using the word icon, but more like using the more appropriate example of an epic producer who has found his home in life insurance sales. We're going to hear more on his background here in a second, but has gone out and he has forged new ground. He's the first person we ever had produced over $1 million in insurance premium. I believe, as far as my knowledge goes, there's no higher single producer in the simplified issue life insurance space than Steven Giordano. And we're blessed to have him as part of FFL. He's an incredible producer, wonderful father, Dolphins fan, and resident of Florida, but all around just great guy. And you guys all are in for a treat to learn from someone who has not only set the bar, but continue to raise the bar of what is possible in life insurance sales. So without further ado, light up that chat for me, drop some SGs, drop some health and wealth, drop some number ones in the chat, and show Steve some love. How you doing today, brother?
I'm terrific. Thank you so much. It's an honor to always be on with you. I've always learned a ton from you in my time, and I just thank you for having me.
I'm grateful you were able to fit us in. I think you were the first person to ever write the new Americo IUL app. You had to have been waiting for the button to go live. You had it in before. I think it was at 5:30 in the morning. I'm waking up and I'm looking in the group chats, and Steve Giordano's already sold an Americo. So it's a commitment to your work ethic. It's who you are, and I'm as excited about it. But dude, I would love if you for those, the numbers are great, right? You didn't pop out the womb as this, savvy, well-spoken life insurance producer, and you've got an interesting background. You're not even originally from Florida, right? So I'd love if you kind of give some people some clarity, because that's always where the new agents that are sitting out there, the people that are watching us on YouTube go, but he could do it, right? Because he's really disciplined and he's really it took time to develop these habits, right? And all those things are things that sadly people use as scapegoats. They use them as crutches to go, well, I couldn't do it, or look, he's got all that money now, so of course he can buy more leads. Well, it didn't start like that, guys, right? You have to figure that out. So I'd love you to give some some backstory, some where you came from, how you found insurance, just kind of that process.
Yeah, so thanks so much. I'm originally from New York. I don't know if you can tell it with the accent that some people say I still have, and some people say I'm losing. I don't know. I better never lose it. Originally from New York, kind of migrated my way down to Florida through the hospitality industry that I was in for about 16 years, and pretty much did everything there. And it was one of those things, I've said it before, where you just felt that, yeah, hospitality, you could make a decent living, and I was always able to put food on the table, but you could never really take it to the next level financially. And ironically enough, I had been in one of my restaurants. I had heard a guy talking about an IUL from another company. I started doing my research, and it was just one of those things. I was always drawn to, there's more for me. There's more for me. What is it? I need the vehicle. And then, I was good friends with Mark Mead through the restaurant industry. And I was talking to him because I saw what he was doing in the infant stages of FFL. And I'll never forget, he said to me, he's like, you can go do insurance with that other company, but they don't have leads. He's like, so if you do this without leads, you might as well just take a gun and go out back. It'd be easier because you'll never make it. And, truer words were never spoken. And then from there, I kind of slowly got my license in 2019. And, I went in a couple months part-time to kind of figure out the game, and then went to that first convention two months in. And I was like, okay, everybody looked like me, walked like me, acted like me. Nobody seemed crazy special. I'm like, let me listen to what they're doing and let me understand that this is something I've never done. And let me focus on how I can get really good at it as fast as possible. And a lot of that was kind of the mixture of hard work, investment, blind faith, being honest, like you don't know what you don't know, which is a good and a bad thing. And then just kind of training, activity and training, and kind of marrying those two things together. And then that kind of just led me to, I guess you'd say, producing, fairly high numbers at a decent clip early on. But that was kind of like my background. I had zero experience in insurance whatsoever, and it was hospitality, and that was it. So no sales experience at all.
Now, you say hospitality. Was this management? Was this frontline chef? Were you the server? What did you do in hospitality? I'm sure you did everything, but where were you at
Yeah.
that transitional period?
I have a culinary degree. Originally, wanted to be a chef, and as I kind of was going through that process, I was managing as well when I was really young in a couple of like catering halls and hotels and stuff. And I kind of liked the management side then more than the cooking side.
Yeah.
So then that led to running, one restaurant and multiple restaurants. But the problem was you really always had to move for promotion. And it just got to a point like I had moved from New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and then Florida. I was like, okay, like enough movement, because the movement is just too much. And it just took forever to kind of get to the level you wanted to get to.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I only went to the serving level. I always joke about upselling the ladies from Oriental chicken salad to a miso sake marinated sea bass, because the salad was $12 and the sea bass was 40, which means you got a bigger tip, right? And so, you got to have some sort of linguistic capabilities to do that. But I imagine, going all over the hospitality gamut. So you're bouncing around, you find FFL, you find our, incredible man, Mark Mead. Couldn't think of a more phenomenal coach, and someone who's just, he's accomplished so many different things within the business. And you're like, okay, well, the blind faith comment kind of was like, I know you, but I don't know you, but all right, I'm going to give it a go. So it's the first year. What ballpark, what did you produce your first year?
About 700.
Okay. So 700. My question to you is, where did is it a desire? Were you chubby like me in high school and you got made fun of and had to eat lunch by yourself? And you're like, I'm going to prove the world wrong. Like, where all of a sudden do you join and go, I'm going to go to number one? Like, where did that come from? Like, is that?
It's ironic you say that about weight and health. So when I was around graduating college, I was around whatever, 20, 22, 23. I was very heavy. I was like maybe like 270 pounds. And I remember I graduated, and the day of my graduation, I got very sick. And I said to myself, like the light bulb went off. I go, you got to get healthy. And I got on like this, like when I get like focused on something, like I am like uber focused on it.
We
And
can
I got
tell.
focused on getting in shape. Right. Yeah. You can tell. Yeah. Go figure. And that kind of led then, kind of getting in shape. Then when I started doing this, at first you're like, okay, I have to survive. I got bills, a family, a mortgage. I worked in a corporate job, made roughly maybe 100 grand a year. It was number one, it was like, you got to make it happen. So I think the first thing was that. And then it was, okay, like you're getting pretty good at this. I did about 21 families, 34, 57, and then 80. And then it was kind of like north of 100 from there, that first, like, 6 or 7 months. Then it was like, okay, like you kind of know the formula of selling, and then let's mix in the formula of just sheer numbers, lead flow, stuff like that, trying different leads, trying different things, never being afraid to like try something and it fail, so then going into that, like that second year after, doing 700, I was like, well, why don't I just be the number one guy? Like, because at the time Porcina did 748, and it really annoyed me because I did it in 11 months because I started a month later. I'm actually still more annoyed that I was number two that year than any year I was number one, to be honest with you. But that's just between me and you and everybody on the call. So in that, going into that second year, I was like, well, like doing 1 million, like, why not? Like it's feasible if you just double back the numbers and kind of do it that way. And obviously there's, you know, I think 10 people did it this year. I'm sure 20 people will do it next year. Like you just kind of, you know, go back on the numbers. And then it was just kind of like a quest. Like it wasn't even about money at that point. It was like, okay, the money's going to be there. We know this is insurance. Like everybody should be making money doing this if you're doing it right and working the right way. Then I was like, okay, like why don't we just do this just because you can do it? And then the monetary is obviously going to be great behind it.
Yeah. That's it's ironic. It's you know, you think about when our second part of our business, right, of recruiting, and we think about a guy like you, I would bet a good chunk of my money that your restaurants were the best performing restaurants. I bet they were the cleanest. I bet your staff was the most well-trained. I would bet that, because that's just how you carry yourself. And then you find insurance and you're like, well, I can apply these same mindsets and disciplines which I have in this hospitality industry to insurance sales. And now there's no ceiling anymore. You don't have to hope someone gets fired, retires, or dies to get a promotion, right? And now you have this uncapped ceiling, and you go, so more leads equal more production, more leads, more production. Then my skill set grows along the way. And all of a sudden now you're doing 700 year one. And that's, I mean, it's a testament to who you are. Now, the message though is there's a lot of great people, guys, out there that are just like Steve, that are looking to be introduced to our incredible opportunity. And so go introduce them to them. It's, you know, that uncomfortable conversation with you have with someone like Mark, maybe the first time was, hey man, you might be good at this, is the conversation you could have with someone. You go find yourself a few Steve Giordanos and bless their lives. Like your life has completely changed from 5 years, right? You had no life insurance experience in 2018, 2019, 2024. And in 5 years, you have broken records and continued to go. So it's awesome, man. So you go 700, then year two is, what was year two?
1.3.
Okay. 1.3. I gotta document this. Year was 700, 1.3. Do you know them all?
I do.
What? So that was 2020.
That was 2020. So the pandemic year. So the pandemic, it's interesting, right? When people look at things that, you know, is it an opportunity or is it a problem? That was an opportunity, right? Because it was like, man, everybody's home and everybody needs insurance. So let me go sell them.
News is telling everybody they're going to die, and the government's telling them they can't work. So, you know, let's life insurance.
100%.
2021.
1.4.
2022.
1.4.
And 2023.
1.5.
Fascinating, bro. Fascinating. Just okay. So I know you were a in-home killer. Are you still in home? Are you still in home 100%, or do you do any virtual?
Yeah, I do some. I predominantly I run my schedule the same way I did, in the sense of like 2 dial days and 4 days in the field.
Okay.
The dial days I do call transfers scattered throughout the day as I'm booking. And then, you know, like I will book some things that people like can't meet in person. Will do some things like that. I'll do some like IUL leads, which are obviously virtual because you're running in different states, but I pretty much do them on those dial days. And then obviously as lead flow has kind of, you know, changed with mortgage and what have you, and mailers and whatever. Some of the days that I'm in the field, like let's say in 2020, if I would have been able to easily book 8 appointments, now it might be like 5. And then, hey, I sprinkle in a couple of virtual ones. Or I'll, if it's light in my schedule, I'll just turn on call transfer, stuff like that. But a big key that I'd say to everybody as you're getting through your year one and into your subsequent years is you got to make a list. Like I have a list in my notes on my, you know, my computer that goes in my phone. It's always 30 deep of past clients, lapsed clients, door knocks of lapsed clients, like literally to the point, like I'm so busy and I have so much to do. Like you're bound to sell 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 policies. Like I had a lady last week, she paid something 1.5 years, it lapsed, her bank closed. I knocked on her door and got her a new one because her policy lapsed. Like that didn't take me being magically special. It took me being persistent and having it on the route in between me doing stuff. and there you go. There's, $89 a month, whatever it was.
Yeah. So now is Steve Giordano looking for a number of presentations a day? Is it a presentation goal per week? When you look at your week, if it's Sunday night and you're looking at your upcoming week, what makes you go, oh, we're going to crush it this week? Like, what is that? Is it a number per day? Is it a total number of appointments?
Ideally, it was always like the old, like 30 appointments, but I'll
Yeah.
be honest, because of lead flow, like me running 30 at this point is very, sparingly. I'm probably in the 20 to 25 range.
Okay.
I like to be there. But then also, like I said, I know that from between that and from the book of business and just kind of like going back through stuff over all these years, I know there's 4 to 5 policies a week that I'm writing. Like I kind of struggled a little yesterday, and I called a dude that I sold like 2 massive policies last night. And when I called him, he's like, "Oh man, I'm glad you called me. Like, I think I want to like convert these old ones that I had, these old IULs, and get more whole life with you." Bang, that was $600 a month on my drive home. Like, just because I made the phone call. So it's just a matter of like, I exhaust myself in yes appointments, but it's probably at this point more contacts with people. And one thing I like to say a lot, if I struggle selling new clients and new leads and I'm not getting a lot of love, I go back to the people that love me because they actually like me. Some of the new people might not, the old people do. And let's face facts, like you can get policies, IULs for kids, for wife, for this, for that, ad stuff, annuities, whatever. So it's just constantly having that, communication with people.
Yes, even like that $89 a month door knock you're referencing. You follow up with her in 6 or 12 months and just say, "Hey, Betty, circling back, seeing if anything's changed in your life." She goes, "Well, I actually have this money that I'm now 59 and a half and now I have access to. Is there anything you can help me do with?" Like, it's just, that you have a book of business now. You've built a client list that we talk about that is so valuable as you progress in this business. Like, just like you said, these are clients that love you. So 20 to 25 a week new, but I would also hypothesize that your closing skill set year one, although you wrote 700, I would imagine you were buying a ton of leads and maybe you were at a 50 to 60% skill set. And now you're probably plus 85, 90, 95%. Is that a fair statement? Like,
Yeah, I think I probably closed maybe 70 to 75,
70
somewhere
to
in that
75%.
ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah, probably somewhere there.
I'm curious, what do you say if they don't want to buy? What's the Steve Giordano like? I'm at, oh, so turns out you don't love your family, John. I mean, are you that guy who's like just kind of punching him in the stomach on the way out? Or are you more?
I'm definitely that guy. I'm getting a pound of flesh. If I drove to your house, I'm getting a pound of flesh before I leave. I can tell you that right now. And what's funny about like what I say, I don't think I ever say the same thing. I think every scenario is different. I think what I'm good at, and I think for a new agent, what you'd want to really focus on is really 2 things. One, if you set the table early and then the entire appointment is setting that table to get to the sale, the banking, whatever, if you do a good job in that, you're going to close more. If you're like the quoter, like I talked about this in the convention a little bit, if you're like the like timid quoter, I go into the house in my brain, I'm not thinking like, hey, they're gonna buy. Like I walk in every house, like you're buying insurance. And then I'm also thinking if they have it, it means they bought it before and they like it. And it also means that I know in my brain, I can think about a scenario that's going to be better than what you have. That might be adding to it. That might be replacing it. That might be going from IUL to whole or whole to IU, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think when you walk into a home, you have to have that mentality or a Zoom or whatever it is. And then the second piece is that whole, like just setting that whole table where you're asking the right questions. And I wrote this down. I put it here. So take charge with people and listen to the problems, but dictate the solutions because people want to be told, hey, do this. Like I'll get to some points where some clients, they'll say to me like, well, just tell me what you would do. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, so you're trying to get yourself to that place. And I think there's a lot of things that take you there. It's like how you come across, how you carry yourself and your body language, your eye contact, like you act like you've been there before. One thing that, like, I'll be honest, I don't have always a great amount of patience, but I know when I take a step back in appointments and I have patience and I don't get frustrated with they're giving me the runaround on social or banking or whatever. When I have a little patience, and this is good for a new agent, when you do and you don't like, you're not all over them the entire time and you step back a little bit at certain points, they'll kind of go with you. You just have to kind of massage the situations. Like I had a client last night, you know, back and forth on the appointment. We finally get the appointment and I'm pitching him an IUL. It's better than the hole that he has. It's a better price and cash and whatever. And then, you know, he's all into it. And then like, he's kind of like balking on the banking. So instead of me being like crazy aggressive at that moment, I took a step back. I explained it multiple times as to why in a very soft tone. And then lo and behold, I get it. And now he's like, oh, I'm going to give you referrals of my kids and my this and my that. So there are plenty of times where I'm crazy aggressive because I am, but I also am smart enough to know the times where I need to be that way and other times where I shouldn't be.
Yeah. It's classic adage, as much as they can be against it is how much they can be for it once we get them over that line. And I love how when you roll in the home and they already have a policy, the mindset, they're a buyer, right? Perfect. That'll cover your income replacement. But what do you have in place for your mortgage, right? What do you have in place for your final expenses? What do you have in place to cover all those credit cards, right? So there's always other things, guys, that you can put in place. If they're already a buyer, they're a buyer, right? I've got 250,000. Perfect. What else do you have? Is that 10 times your income, right? So I love how you address that. So
it's almost like saying everybody is underinsured. Every client you meet is underinsured. We're all underinsured. And it's true.
yeah, I agree. No, there's no spouse that, you know, male or female, that is gonna receive the check and go, this is too big. You know, I wish Barry was still here, but then he's gone, sadly. And today I have this check. Oh, this is too big. Can we give half back to the insurance company? Could we, you know, that doesn't happen. So, okay. So my question I have, all this follow-up clients, all this reaching back out, is there any software or a system? Is it postcards? Is it text? Is it emails? Is there anything you do for past client nurturing to keep them?
I honestly, I should do a better job of it. I should tell you I have a system. I should probably have an assistant that helps me with it. And honestly, I don't. I have my system of, I have my, you know, in my notes who I'm calling. If I can't get people, I text. Recently, this really smart agent brought this thing to my attention of like a link for referrals. So now like I'll send that out to people, new clients, and also obviously past clients. So, you know, I'll give them a bonus or whatever if they send referral stuff like that. But really, honestly, my process is kind of me and my cell phone, you know, like just texting, calling, and like the amount of phone calls I make in a day is kind of crazy. It would probably blow your mind. And I would say this, if you're a new agent, like if you struggle, which you will, we all will, and you got to understand, obviously, you know, it's like being a great baseball player, right? They strike out or pop out 7 out of 10 times and they get 3 hits and they're a Hall of Fame baseball player. It's
Right.
kind of the same concept. So if you're new, you always have to just put the activity in your favor, because the activity creates where your skill set gets better. And it also it gets you the low hanging fruit. Like if you call 100 people, leads, past clients, whatever, like somebody's going to buy insurance. All 100 aren't going to buy it. But if 2 did, and then you went and you had 2 appointments and another 2 did, like, okay, cool. Now you help 10 people in a week and now you're profitable and you're happy and life is good.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, I wish I could tell you I have like this magical CRM. I probably should. But if you have any ideas, send them my way. That I could be more efficient.
Okay. I love that. What is, so I think a lot of questions for new agents and then agents that are doing well will go, what does your day look like? Like a standard work day up, and like one of these texts and calls going out, do you break it apart? And you're focused on your fitness. You've got 2 boys, right? You've got a spouse who probably would like more time with you, right? All the things, but we juggle and we make sacrifices at points in our life to then create the ultimate life that we're trying to create. What is your day or week? How do you chop it up with, you know, what you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, I'll use yesterday would be a good example. So, up, 4:35, I go right in, I make my coffee, I go right into my office, and I'm trying to like get ahead on the day, printing leads, going through all my emails, shooting out stuff to downline, all that stuff. And then I go to the gym about an hour, come back. I'm pretty much trying to run an appointment, let's say call it 9 a.m. to like 6 or 7 on like a
Okay.
run day.
Okay.
So yesterday I had a fairly full day. I think I had one gap in the day. And then I'm just in the car in between. I have all my leads. I'm dialing to book kind of ahead in a sense, right? So if yesterday was Wednesday, I'm trying to kind of book Friday, Saturday. I kind of booked 4 or 5 appointments throughout the day. As I'm dialing through leads, if there's things that am not resolving, I'll shoot them in emails to some of my downline that are in the area, door knock. um, and then I'm just throughout that day, like yesterday is a great example. I'm going through my list. I had like 35 things on my list. I think I chopped it down to 18. So I actually felt kind of accomplished. But it's like a hamster wheel with that list. Like you're always, because you know the drill. You're not
Yeah.
always getting the client on the phone and getting what you need. So you got to follow up stuff like that. I think I had a virtual appointment in between there yesterday. I think I sold whatever 3 or 4 policies. So let's say I was gone, 9 to 7, 7:30. I called that one guy last night. I get home. I finished the app with him over the phone. Now it's 8 o'clock. Have dinner. Spend a little time with the kids if they're awake and wife, and then go to bed and kind of do it all over again. So that's kind of like a run day, and then a day in the office like today, pretty much in my home office. I got recruiting calls, dialing to book appointments. Because I was able to book ahead, I have more agency stuff today, because I have some stuff already booked for tomorrow. Had a couple of virtual appointments I sold this morning, and, got a haircut, and, I'm here on the call with you now.
Looking fresh. So you run
Looking
it like a
fresh.
business. You just show you run your business like a business that you would want to be very successful, and you don't make excuses, which is part of your brilliance. I mean, I hear that how simplistic you run it, making your own, like there's so many agents that are like, how do I get 2 dialers and what software and CRM? And I need and granted, you need an assistant to kind of help navigate the things that
Yeah.
aren't calling the carriers and following up with beneficiary forms and things that need just to be that aren't the most optimal money making time, which is you sitting in front of or on the phone with a client. But it's everybody's looking for the cheat code, and Steve's like, I'm just gonna go right at the monster. I'm gonna go run right at it. I'm gonna go right at it, just go after it. And if I don't make it to the end, I'm using a video game analogy here. If I don't make it to the if I die, I'm just gonna start over and I'm gonna do it again, and eventually
Right.
I'll learn where to shoot him, and I'm gonna beat the level, and we're gonna go to the next level. And
And
I
I
love
think there's efficiencies there too, not to cut you off. Like I try to be very efficient. Like, I try to make great contacts with the carriers. So like, all right, I know where to send the emails. I'm never calling carriers. Like I'm just shooting emails. Like I'm very efficient. I utilize technology. I'm a huge Apple guy. I have Apple everything. I have everything synced. So everything for me is very efficient, which makes my time, I'm able to kind of maximize my time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is a question everyone's gonna want to know. What is your ballpark weekly lead spend?
I spend about 2,500 a week.
2,500 a week.
Mhm.
But now we extrapolate that over 5 years is why you have so many clients, past leads, contacts, past contacts to keep now circling through and coming back around to.
And
So
that's the crazy thing about leads, right? So like some people will say, "Hey, what's the opportunity cost?" And then other people are going to say like, "What's the cost of the opportunity?" Right? So like if I would have not spent early on. Now I wasn't spending that like day one, but I worked my way up. Let's say it was 1,000 to 15. And then as I started hitting around like that 80 to 100, I'm like, oh, okay. Like now I kind of know what that looks like. But the other cool thing that I want to throw out to people, and you mentioned it early on in this call when you're going through your numbers, is the bonuses, right? So like we got this cruise, which I was on the first one. It was very cool. This one will be very cool. So that's awesome. But then you have a monthly producer bonus. There's no place in the industry where you can make more money as a personal producer on a bonus than here, right? So like if I write 120, I'm getting paid 10 grand now. Like,
Oh.
okay, that's really cool. So break that over a year. Obviously, that's another 120 grand. You got Americo's 10% bonus. You got Americo giving $500 to write 5 IULs. You got Ethos giving $400. So here's what I would tell everybody: find where they're giving you money and focus there. Because I can promise you that's what I do. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you're giving me money here. Great. I'm going to go over here. Oh, you're giving me money. Oh, I'm going to go over here now. Like, the money's there. Like, do the things that are going to pay you, because it's added money in addition to what you're actually writing.
Yeah. Moo's got a 10% bonus. Am will send you to Venice, right?
Prosperity.
Prosperity's got a cool, yeah, Jack's great over there. So there's perks to producing, right, guys? And so, I mean, to break apart those simple numbers, if you write your 120, you get a $10,000 bonus, that covers your $2,500 a week lead spend.
Right.
And now, right, like it's fun. I love it. You make it a video game. You're killing the monster.